dad tried to set me up with like, you know, someone that he's at his like accountant's firm or something. I'm like, okay, fine, you know.
I'll do it.
I'll do it. And because I really wanted to have a
you.
family. If it doesn't happen, like, you know, like that's just not the life that you had pictured for yourself. I'll freeze my eggs. But I agonised. I mean, it sounds crazy now, but I agonised for about 3 years.
This episode of United Motherhood is proudly brought to you by Genea. Genea has a holistic approach to fertility. If you or someone you know is struggling with fertility, get in touch. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. I'm sending you all so much love. So let's get into today's episode with my lovely friend Maha. Maha is on her journey to motherhood. She froze her eggs in her late 30s, found love unexpectedly, and is now trying to conceive in her 40s. This one is special. Enjoy.
So we've got the beautiful Maha here. I've done an intro off camera, so hopefully I've got it right. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Okay.
Let's go back. I love to take people on a journey. Let's go back to baby Maha.
Aww.
You were the baby in your family, weren't you?
Yeah, the baby.
Tell us about your family, the childhood, I should say.
So I grew up in Castle Hill, so like suburban.
Okay, stop, time out. Hills, love it.
No
We're still
way.
on camera, but like she grew up in Hills and I grew up in Dural.
No way! Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I was such a nerd. I used to just be like, Mum, you know, I got 99 out of 100 and that's just not good enough. Like, yeah, I
passed.
Over time, by the time I got to uni, I was like, we had this slogan at Macquarie Uni, like it was called P's Get Degrees. And it was like basically if you pass, like you'll get your degree. Is it?
Yeah, my brother says, I got a P, but he's
P's get degrees.
Smart,
but at the time, But anyway, so we grew up in Castle Hill and it was like, you know, beautiful suburban kind of upbringing, and Mum stayed at home with me until I was 8, and so she really kind of, I guess, she spent a lot of time with me, and I think that's why, like, I was really drawn to sort of books and language and
because you were the baby by how many?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah,
okay.
by 5 years, and so I was sort of quite lucky. I guess I had a lot of time at home with Mum, and she put a lot of time and effort into my learning and, you know, and kind of, I guess, education. So by the time I got to kindy, I could already like read pretty well. I could already kind of
so
like
jealous.
Write.
Mum, you suck.
No,
I'm kidding. I love you, Mum. But like I was pretty good. I could sing the national anthem when I was 2. Yeah. But I was just a pole opposite. I was just like dirty and sporty and...
But see, I think that's so good, because I think it's like I had kind of like the book smart, but I didn't really have the social skills. I was not sporty by any stretch.
Everyone's got their thing, right?
Yeah.
We just got to focus on what we're good at and whatever and everything else.
Like it was just, it was a good, easy kind of childhood, I guess. You know, nothing terribly remarkable, but
you were
I was
happy.
a nerd.
What about your teen years?
Happy nerd.
Happy nerd.
My teen years.
Quote, that's the name of this. The Happy Nerd with Maha.
My teen years were pretty good because I went to a selective high school, and I actually felt like for the first time.
So you were very intelligent, obviously.
I don't know if I was I mean, maybe, but I think I also worked.
You're too
hard,
modest, you are,
But I feel like I didn't have the social skills in primary school, and I gravitated towards books. And so by the time I got to high school, in a way, it was a relief to be around sort of similar people. And so I felt like I could be more social. I was just more, I don't know, amongst more sort of like-minded people. So high school for me, I actually really enjoyed.
You tried.
Socially.
And your beautiful relationship with Sal is just next level special. Like I Instagrammed about this. If you follow me on the gram, you'll know. But the relationship you have is something I've never seen before. You're each other's biggest supporters. You're like the best friends.
I know. I feel like we're so fortunate, and I think it's not lost on me that it is like that. It is luck in a way, because I know not everybody has that, and so I definitely don't take it for granted by any stretch. And I think I often feel like we were twins who just like I was just born kind of 5 years later, who were actually separated at birth, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
soul sisters, you really are. Like even just seeing you guys interact, like even your relationship with her girls. Like Sal's got 2 daughters, and I don't know, even through social media, you can feel your love of her kids.
Oh, I love them so much.
And they love you so much. Like you just tell.
sometimes I just look at them and I think like it might be possible for my heart to just like burst. Like
Yeah.
I
know that feeling too well.
Oh,
You're destined to be the most amazing mum,
Thank
which
you.
we're going to
Hope
get into.
so.
You will be. You will be.
Thank you.
There's a lot of people that are probably watching this whole motherhood thing. You don't have any earthside babies.
Not yet.
No. So we're talking about your journey to how we sort of got to it. Can we touch on, I guess, in your 30s with your career? When did Swish come about?
Yeah.
Egg freezing. Let's go through your journey.
Okay, so I went to uni and I did psychology, and I knew pretty early on that I wanted a career, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And Sally was working in recruitment, one of her many careers before television, after accounting and PT.
And PT.
And
naturopath, which kind of
Yes.
has come full circle
Sort of
with this
before that.
whole
I know.
Swish
Everything
wellness
has
side.
its place,
Yeah.
you know. Anyway, so she had a brief stint as a recruiter, and she said, I'm so sick of you going to uni, and like sometimes you go and sometimes you don't, and sometimes you go at midday. You know, you've got to get some practical experience. And I was like, oh, this is like really inconvenient, but okay. And
Listen to your big sister.
I know.
Yep.
And so she said, there's a job going in recruitment at Bankers Trust, so why don't I put you forward? And before that, she tried to put me forward for like accounting and, you know, reconciliations jobs. And I was like, that's so boring. But I thought, recruitment, that could be fun.
Yeah.
So, and it sort of tied in with org psych and my studies and stuff. So I was like, okay. So I ended up getting this full-time job, and I switched to part-time uni. And so my career was kind of an accident in a way. And if she hadn't have...
Did she get a commission?
Probably. And you know what? She didn't
She was
split
good
it
at
with me.
her job.
Yeah, she actually was. I didn't...
That's amazing.
Hey.
You're like, I never thought of that.
I'm going to hit her up for half of that, like
So
20 years
funny.
later. So I got into HR sort of that way, and then I worked at Bankers Trust for a couple of years, and then I went to JP Morgan, and I was there for 11 years and just kind of like worked my way up until I was heading up HR for their investment bank. So, and
That's
it was
huge.
a career I loved, you know. Thank you. And it was good because I learned about people and I learned about business. And I think a lot of what I experienced in and like witnessed in, I guess, building businesses was things that I didn't know at the time, but that I use today at Swish. So anyway, I really think there's something to be learned from every experience, and you know, and I feel like in a way I kind of grew up in that organisation, and I worked my butt off, but I also learned a lot, and I'm super grateful for it now, because I'm like, well, yeah, it has sort of helped us. Then so I had like all these dreams of like, you know, one day I'm going to start a blog, and it's going to be about like going out in Sydney and doing
We spoke about this. This is a great story.
And it's like, and then I was like, hang on, you sit at your desk until like 1 o'clock in the morning, and you just do nothing but work. You don't actually go anywhere fun. So how are you going to write a blog about like fun places to go out? Yeah. Liar! That's right. So I was like, okay, that's not going to work. So we'll just have to sort of park the idea until something else comes along. And then and then I got headhunted to go and work at ANZ in HR, which I did for a couple of years. And while I was there, that was when Sally got sick, and
We're going to talk about Sal's in next week's episode, but let's dive into how that was being a sister, because you're so close. Like it makes me feel, even just thinking about how you would have felt with your beautiful sister getting that news. She was pregnant, wasn't she?
She was pregnant, and I mean, our family was so excited. Obviously, like for mum and dad, you know, their first grandchild, and and Sally and Marcus have been trying for a long time.
She said something like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, it was a long time, and like she, you know, everything that you can imagine to try to get pregnant, like they had done, like.
She talked about a watch. We were just chatting out before, but she talked about how even like going and buying this really expensive watch. Like she tried everything, and like, you know, okay, I'm on some new diet, and basically like I can't eat peas or like, you know, what like everything under the sun, and like nothing had worked. And so it was definitely a long awaited arrival for our family, and during her pregnancy, she was thriving. Like she had so much energy, and the thing that still to this day, gets me to this day is that she wanted
even though it was her thing, she wanted to reassure us
Yeah.
that she was going to be fine, you know, so.
No, God, we need tissues. Tissues.
And, sorry.
Shauna.
Sorry, I'm actually fine. It's amazing.
We've got the team stressing out now. Quick.
Tissues, everybody. It's
Big
the big
sister.
sister
Yeah,
thing,
she's
you know.
protective of you.
And it's like, you know, and I just said to her, I was like, you know, you've got to,
Be honest.
you've got to like tell me, you know, yeah. And she's like, no, it's going to be okay. I promise you, you know, I'm not going anywhere. And I think it's like, you know, I really just needed to sort of hear that from her, because like you want the reassurance of, if you tell me it's going to be okay, I'll believe that it's going to be okay, you know. Anyway,
She's
so
your person, that's why. Like you
she's
trust
my person.
You trust her. Yeah.
Anyway, so then it was kind of just action mode after that. You know, it's like you're going through the motions. And what I think is so funny is that I was thinking the other day, there is so much of that time that I don't remember. My body has just suppressed. You know, I was trying to remember like her hospital rooms and, you know, the operations and stuff. And I, like, so much of it is just,
Probably how you dealt with it.
yeah, I
you know.
think so. And I think because, you know, there was this beautiful little baby girl, and you just like, you know,
Were you very, because Sal was saying you were very involved
bring back the
when,
tissues.
when Annabelle was born. She said you guys really rallied, you know.
Yeah, and like, I mean,
Tiny baby.
this tiny baby, and I think, and Sal still obviously wanted to be a mum and be there and do all the things, and she did, but there were days where they were like, they said to her during chemo, you're too toxic to pick up your child, you can't touch her for the next like 48 hours.
Oh my God.
You know, and so it's like, it was horrific.
Just crazy how out of something that is so negative, beauty was also born. Your relationship will be forever
That's right.
different.
Yeah.
Your lives will be forever different.
Forever different. And so anyway, so I think she was basically in her hospital bed, and she called me. This was probably after her last chemo, or maybe somewhere in amongst her surgeries. And anyway, she said, oh, listen, so I've had this idea, you know, we've always wanted to work together. What if we started a website? We could do a blog about all the things that we love and, you know, fashion. And I'm like, are you high?
Her entrepreneurial mind was going crazy.
Are you on like some sort of medication?
What
you
have they
must
given
be
you?
tripping. Yeah, what have they given you? Because
Yeah.
I'm like, you have to focus on your recovery, like, you know. And she's like, yeah, I will, but I need something to look forward to. And, you know, you've wanted a business for ages. We've talked about working together, and yeah. And so then I was like,
Is that Swish? Is that how it was born?
Yeah, that's how it was born.
Can we talk
So-
about what Swish is? And where are you in
Yeah.
your timeline at this?
So
as
I'm
well?
at ANZ at this point, working in HR,
How
not really
old?
enjoying it. I was like
30s?
early 30s,
Okay.
yeah, like maybe like 33 maybe.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, not really loving it, to be honest, and kind of wanting to do something else that was, you know, a bit kind of, yeah.
You had that entrepreneurial side of you that hadn't really been tapped into.
hadn't been tapped into, yeah. And I think it's like, I'm sorry, but like working in banking, it's just, I can't get excited about
a bit dry.
loans
Yeah.
and shares.
It's just not in you. Yeah,
you
it's
know?
just not in you. I feel like some people love that shit, but like,
Yeah, I love the business side of it. I love the people side of it. But, you know, as an industry, it's like I couldn't have seen myself doing that, you know, forever.
yeah.
Anyway, so during Sal's recovery, I would go over to her house. We'd sort of nut out a bit of like, oh, this is what it could be. And, you know, we built the website. And we thought, this is going to be great. And I was like, this is so good. And I was visualizing myself, you know, being a blogger, sitting in a cafe with
With
my
the Wi-Fi and
yeah,
the coffee,
Wi-Fi, my
yep.
coffee, and I'm tapping away, and like, you know, my Chanel bags,
Yep.
and like, anyway, it was really not like that at all. It was like late nights, you know,
Slogging away.
going, let's
Yeah.
write about manicure trends for spring. And they were like, is anyone going to read this besides mum? Probably not. And then, so it was just like a hard slog in the beginning. We didn't know what we were doing really. Like, you know, we just thought, well, we'll write and that's it, you know. And then around the same time, Sal had started having the green smoothies as part of her kind of cancer recovery. But they weren't a thing here though at the time. Like no one was drinking them. Everyone's like, "What's that green shit you've got?"
Yeah, it does look like shit sometimes,
it does.
but it's
sometimes it goes brown.
It does
and
go
it's just
brown.
like this is like just not
Or
appealing.
like greeny brown is the worst.
Brown.
I had one this morning. I made a smoothie bowl. It was really good, but it was just the cacao and the avocado and the greens powder. It just went weird.
Avocado ruins everything.
Oh, I love the avocado.
No, I know, but that's what makes it like
yeah.
you just like it's sort of sludgy and anyway. But it's
good.
like
Hit it with muesli.
it tastes and people are like, you're like it tastes amazing. Yeah. And so so we started kind of having those, and people were asking, so what's that? What are you doing? And then and we're like writing our recipes down on Post-it notes for people, and then anyway, so I was like, we should just do a book, and let's do one. And then no one wanted to publish it, so like, okay, let's just publish it ourselves, and we did, and then
this is the stuff though. To all the people out there that are working away at their businesses, and it's just no after no, and sacrifice after sacrifice, and slog to get it done.
Yeah. Well, I think you also have to trust your instincts, you know, and I think you have to know, like we knew this is something. Enough people are asking us about this thing that, you know, it's got legs. So you know, but and Sal already had at this point, she'd written her book about cancer and it was a bestseller. So she was thinking, oh, well, when I ring up to pitch a smoothie book, the publisher will be like, yeah, sure, no worries, we'll do it. And they were like, no, sorry, no one's going to buy that. It's a passing fad at best. You know,
screw you, publisher.
Yeah,
look at you now.
We did it ourselves,
Yeah,
and then the next, like, literally put it up on Amazon and iTunes, and then went to #1 overnight. And then the publisher called back and was like, "Sorry."
How cool is that, though? That's the best.
And then we built the online store to kind of sell the book, and then we're like, we might as well add fashion because it's all about feeling good on the inside and the outside. So like, okay, we'll do the book and some smoothie tumblers. How about some homewares? Okay, a bit of fashion, and then we're like, I guess we have an online store now. Okay. And because we'd taken the time to build the blog and the readers and the community, so then when we added the store, it was okay because we kind of already knew what they were into.
You had your community. You knew your woman that you were speaking
so we
to.
never had like a sort of business plan and it's this in the first year, and you know, it was just it was organic, you know, and it evolved. But yeah, a lot of late nights and sacrifices. And I mean, I look at Sal and I'm like, you had cancer, you had a baby, you had to recover, you went back to Channel 7, you built a business. Like, it's just unbelievable.
But you're unbelievable too, because you were there by her side, and she would say it, I know, she wouldn't be where she is if she didn't have you.
And vice versa.
Yeah, which is the most beautiful thing ever. And you're here together every day. You were just saying that you're moving. Yeah. And she was like, can you just move a bit closer? And you're like 5 minutes away.
I'm already 5 minutes away. I know.
Which is so cool.
I know.
And can we go into your journey of becoming a mama?
Yes.
So you went down, do I call it egg freezing? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So you went down that route.
Yeah, so I was single in my 30s, and basically, I adore my nieces. Like, I love them so much, and I would often think, if I feel this way about you guys, like, how on earth would I feel about my own child?
My sisters say that. They're like, I don't know if I'll ever love my kids as much as I'll love you.
I do worry about that. It's true though. No, they've got a point, because it's like, you go, well, what if like mine turns out to be this like annoying little thing, a little shit? Yeah, what if mine's a little
you
shit?
You still love them. It's funny.
I know.
It's the weirdest thing. Your kid can be the most annoying kid to someone else, and you're just like, you're amazing.
You're amazing. I know.
So
They're
cool.
so cute. So yeah, so I was single, and I was like, you know, I dated, I exhausted myself, shall we say? You know,
you're a dating slut. So
I was like,
not the slut side of
things.
Yeah,
not that, but yeah. But I was like, okay, anyone like a setup? Sure, that's fine.
You were open to everything.
Yeah, like my dad tried to set me up with like, you know, someone that he's at his like accountant's firm or something. I'm like, okay, fine, you know,
I'll do it.
I'll do it, and because I really wanted to have a family, and then eventually, but I also always knew that whoever I ended up being with, it had to be someone really special and someone who had a sort of high level of emotional intelligence, because that's so important for me. And you know, and So I was like, well, it's obviously just not going to happen, you know, so I'll freeze my eggs. But I agonized. I mean, it sounds crazy now, but I agonized for about 3 years because, because it was like, well, you know, I haven't met someone. So that's why you're in this position. And there was a lot of beating myself up.
You spoke a lot about that before.
Which like, you know, you failed. Like, I was like, you failed. You couldn't meet anyone, and that's why now you have to freeze your eggs. And then I had to sort of just have a minute and go, okay, egg freezing is actually something that you should be so proud of yourself for doing. It doesn't mean you failed. It means that you're taking extra measures so that you might need those one day. It's actually being quite smart. Yeah. You know, and it's okay.
Listen to how your brain works. I love that. You had like internal conversations.
Of course.
But over 3 years it took, did it?
3 years. It was a long time. And then when I did it, I was like, I should have done this years ago. But no one had really ever talked about it.
I never hear about it.
It's crazy.
Hear about it. Yeah.
I would hear the things about, Apple in the US is giving its employees like $5,000 or whatever if they want to go and do it. And you're like, but where's the education around, like, I was lucky because, in a way, because I have polycystic ovaries, so I actually have a very high egg reserve. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything about the quality, but it means I've got a lot potentially that I can then have for freezing, but not everybody has that. I have friends who had a very low egg reserve when they were in their 20s, but no one ever says this is something that you should even start thinking about when you're in your 20s.
We're all so educated about being on the pill to not get pregnant.
That's everyone's like, don't get pregnant.
Yeah,
when you're
the rod in the arm. Like, it's just, it's crazy how the education needs to almost flip to empower. Yeah. Because the stats you were saying, you had them frozen at
38. And so now sort of going, and we'll probably get to this, but going sort of on that IVF journey now, you know, they're saying, well, there's a 16% chance of your 38-year-old eggs resulting in a live birth if you were to use them. And if you don't, I'm now 41, your 41-year-old eggs, you've got an 11% chance. And that is nothing. And they said, well, if you'd frozen your eggs when you were 20, well, 20-year-old eggs have like a, I don't know, 30% chance or something. And you're like, well, why didn't someone say something?
But still, 30% doesn't sound...
Well, yeah.
That high?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
You're 20 years old, meant to be like in your prime. Whatever it is.
Yeah, but it's
crazy that there's no one hears about it.
You kind of know there's a decline. Like, and I just remember being told or reading in magazines, oh, well, there's a decline as you age. But it's like, but what does that mean?
Yeah. And how?
And how? You know, and that is even just in number, not just in quality. So it's like, I feel so strongly that we need to talk about it more and educate ourselves better. But I also think we need to talk about the emotional side of it because, you know, I actually happened to freeze mine at the same time as a girlfriend of mine did. So it was kind of quite nice to,
That's
you
cool.
know,
to
go through it together.
Yeah.
But she had the same. She was like, yeah, I left a relationship because the guy she was seeing didn't want to have kids. And she's like, and then I had to kind of make that decision of like, well, I do, but I also don't have anyone to have them with. So, you know, I need to, I'm sure we're not alone in that.
No, I know, even just from this series and people messaging me, so many people are thinking about it. Even people that have fertility issues like PCOS and endometriosis, like they're starting to think about it now, which I think is a good thing, right?
It is.
Like the earlier you think about it.
That's right. And the more I think you talk about it, the more you realise that you're not alone in how you're, you know, feeling or what you're experiencing. And so I definitely wish I had conversations about it earlier, and I definitely wish I'd frozen my eggs earlier.
You need to go live and talk about this because you're doing your lives now.
Yes. Okay.
We need to do that, guys. DM Maha and make her do this.
Keep me accountable.
This is the stuff that people need to talk about. It's super informative.
And also life now is just different. Like, you know, you have careers, you travel, you know, there's everybody, you know, I was talking to someone today and they were like, I'm only in my mid-30s, I've got heaps of time. I'm like, that might be true, but it also might not be true. And so, and not to be like really kind of down about it.
Like, no, it's not down,
you know,
but you're educated.
It's real.
Yeah, it is real.
You know, it's like you've got to just check all these things out. Anyway, so I froze them thinking, one day, you know, I might use them. And then I actually, after Alyssa, my youngest niece, was born, I got home and I was like, that's it, I've got to.
Because you were there for the birth. So we're going to go into Sal's story in 2 weeks, so stay tuned for that. But Alyssa was through surrogacy, wasn't she?
It was the most magical.
You were there, weren't you?
Yeah, in the room when she came out.
Wow,
and
that's so cool.
It was like, I mean, Rachel made it look really easy. She like totally ruined the birth process for me, because I was like, oh look, babies get born in like
You're
20
gonna
minutes.
give birth and be like, what the
I'll be like 20 hours later, what's happening? Alyssa came out in like 2 minutes. But yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, it was just magical. Like it was, I will forever have the most special memories of that time, and being there with Sal and Annabelle, and like waiting for Alyssa to be born, and you know, in the Milwaukee snow, and it was just, I can't even, like, that's a whole other you know, story, but it just goes to show you how families can be made in so many different ways, and I think that is the most beautiful thing. And on the way to Milwaukee, we took Annabelle to Hawaii for a week, and she was in the pool with a couple of other kids, and anyway, she said she was playing with them and they were all chatting, and Sal and I were sitting nearby, and Annabelle says to them, that's my mum and my auntie, we're going to get my baby sister, Rachel's carrying my baby sister. Oh, she says my baby brother or sister, sorry, she didn't know. And then and the other kids go, oh, we're adopted, she's my sister, and that's our mum and dad, but we're adopted. And then they go, oh, okay. And then they just go back to playing, right?
That's how it should be.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, and it was just not even a thing. It was like, you know, and I think that's one of the beautiful things out of this sort of cancer experience, you know, is that it's that redefining of what family means and how it kind of comes about. So
totally. And I'm a massive believer as well, like, it doesn't matter if you are biologically someone's, whoever raises and nurtures you,
totally,
they're your parents.
They're your parents.
And Alyssa is biologically Sal and Marcus's, but
even if she wasn't, it really wouldn't have mattered, you know.
100% no.
And so we got home from that trip, and I'm like, that's
I'm
it.
ruining the story.
I'm having a Zoe. Let me tell you chronological order. And so I got home and I was like, oh, that's it. I'm having a baby by myself. I'm doing this. I'm doing it.
Go girl.
And then, anyway, started doing like all the research and like how all of this happened and what's the process and blah blah blah. And then
you were nerding out.
Massively nerding out. And then I was like,
love
okay, I'm doing it. And then I literally said to Sally, listen, I finally accepted that things might not happen, you know, in my life in the way that I have thought they would. I'm going to go have a baby on my own, and maybe I'll meet my person, you know, when I'm 60. Who knows? She's like, great. I said, at the end of the day, if the universe wants to throw someone in my path, it will. She's like, 100%. And then literally about 2 weeks later, had a text message from an old friend of mine who was like, hey, it's Matthew. I've just moved back to Sydney from Melbourne.
Love this story.
Do you want to catch up for a coffee? You know, I should get a couple of copies of your book. And Matthew I'd been friends with for like 15 years, and we'd briefly dated in 2006, but I hadn't seen him face to face in 5 years, and he just like out of the blue was like, yeah, I'm back in Sydney, I should text my friend. And I was like, yeah, let's catch up. Like, not thinking anything of it at all. Aww. And then,
my heart's like beating. Quick, tell the story.
And then a year later we got engaged. And then 9 weeks after that we got married.
That's
and
amazing.
And he's just the best person. He's just like, he's beautiful. He's like,
You're so in love, you can't even get your words out. Like, you never are quiet. So this is something.
He's very calming. He is the most beautiful soul. He's a deep thinker. I adore him. I love hanging out with him. It's very calm and it's very easy, and it's nice that we've been friends for so long. You know, it's just sort of the trust is there, and you know, he's emotionally intelligent.
Built on friendship, because one day
that's true.
It's just going to be you two little oldies.
That's right. Well, the kids will fly the coop.
Totally. You won't have your nieces running around.
That's
Swish.
right.
Who knows what Swish will be?
Well, Annabelle and Alyssa will take over.
We've already decided. They have no choice.
No choice.
It's the best.
So we've been married almost 7 months, and we've kind of started this baby journey. And
can we touch on
yeah,
that?
of course. Yeah. So so far we did ovulation tracking on our own, and like I'd go and buy the kit thing, and like
so consuming. We're just talking about it.
so consuming.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, my finger hurts. Oh, that must be a sign that I'm pregnant. And you're googling
everything in the forum, and you just analyze everything.
Yeah,
like everything. Did you do the like had sex legs up on the wall?
No.
Like, okay. Whoa, I got hectic. I put the pillow under the butt.
Just,
like,
did you?
It was
Does that work?
No. Like, well, maybe, but no, it didn't work for the 9 months or whatever it was. But yeah, no.
Oh, it's just like, and there are so many forums, and you realise how consuming it is for everybody who's who's going through it, and you're like, how many minutes until I can actually pee on the stick to see if I'm pregnant? And that waiting period is just, it's excruciating.
I started peeing on sticks at like 6 days past ovulation, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think there's a line. I don't know.
Is there a line? If I just tap on the screen
I still
a bit,
send her pictures. I'm like, do you think I'm pregnant?
Yeah.
She's like, no.
I mean, it's actually quite lucky, like they don't sell like home blood tests or something, because can you imagine? We'd be like, I should just check, like just in case. It's so full on.
I remember Toby having a beer, and like when we were trying to ovulate, I'm like, can you not drink that beer? He's like, why? I'm like, because we're going to try and have a baby and it might ruin your sperm. And he's like, what the hell?
What if it slows them down, like trying to swim?
It's just that you get in the weirdest of mindsets.
It's weird. And like I convinced myself the first month we started trying, I was like, it's going to happen this month. And then it didn't happen. Like, it's totally happening next month, like for sure.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of, month on month on month on month. And you're like, oh, that's weird, okay. I kind of feel like, I think also too because of Sal's experience, I'm like, at my age, I'm like, don't delay, you've got, PCOS, you've got to kind of get on top of this. And so, so we had all the tests and checked out that everything was sort of fine. But the stats, and they're like, okay, we'll share the stats. And he just said, look, there's not a lot of difference between your 38-year-old frozen eggs and your 41-year-old fresh eggs. So let's try doing, 2 to 3 months of letrozole, which is like the new version of Clomid. That might sort of help things along with your PCOS. Yeah. And he said, but that's probably about all the time that we could spend doing that if it doesn't work within the first couple of months, which is where we're at now. And it hasn't worked for the first month, and we'll see sort of the next 1 or 2. Yeah. But he said, and then you'll have to decide if you want to defrost some of your frozen ones. But then there's that panic of like, well, if I defrost them and that doesn't work, then by the time I do that, then I'm 42, and then I don't really want to defrost the rest in case I want them for a second baby. So do I do fresh?
Difficult.
It's really hard. And the thing with the frozen cycle is it is like a whole IVF cycle, except for, the kind of making the embryo part. So you've taken all the drugs already.
So they're just frozen eggs. They're not
They're not embryos. Okay, so they're like literally, you do all the injecting of the drugs and all that stuff. They extract the eggs.
So Matthew would have to go in. Oh,
he'd have to go in.
There wouldn't be embryos
I was
because
single.
You didn't have the sperm.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster because at the end of the day, I'm consumed by fear that it just won't happen. Yeah. And then you have to reconcile. Like, sorry.
No.
If it doesn't happen, like, like that's just not the life that you had pictured for yourself. But you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I've heaps
You don't even have to say that because you know what? Like, you're in this. You're riding this roller coaster. No one else knows what it's like. And you'll be a mum. You'll be a mum. You're destined to be a mum. And it's not going to be...
But, I just think, like, I have friends who have been through this and they have not been able to have babies. And you know what? And I'm like, that's, like, I feel for them. But I'm like, but they're also... they've reconciled it and they're kind of okay, and I'm like, I know I would be too, but it's like, but it's just,
you don't want to think that. You've got to be in the now, I think, as well, and you've got this journey to go on, and you've got your beautiful husband.
I know, he's so beautiful.
That you never thought you'd have
I know.
For a long time.
And that's the thing.
And
I'm like, now I'm in like I'm going to trust the universe. I'm going to trust the outcome. Yep. No matter what it is, I'll be fine either way. I'm blessed with the most incredible nieces.
Seen the science as well with Sal. Like, she was saying before that we're going to go into this next week, but 2 weeks actually, the embryo's not taking, and nearly not having it.
That's right.
You don't know.
I know.
Now
And-
she's got Alyssa.
And the thing is you can only do what you can do. And like I said, you know, Matthew's really great. He's very pragmatic about the whole thing. And, you know, he's like, we just have to sort of take it a day at a time. And like, that's all we can do. And, you know, and it's like, as long as we're turning up and we're doing our bit and we're trying, and then the rest is like up to the universe. And I know it absolutely can happen.
Yeah.
And I also know that if for any reason it doesn't happen, it's also fine. But I just am like, we're lucky to live in an age where this is even an option and a possibility, and that we have the resources and the, you know, and the help. Like,
well,
that's
let's
everything.
stay on this journey, and
Keep you posted.
Yeah, keep us posted, and we'll check in with you. Like I said, make sure you go and follow you, because I feel like you've got so much to share, and I've never heard you talk about this stuff, and I've heard you speak a lot through Business Chicks.
I talk a lot about business.
No, I know, but this is a side of you I feel like people haven't seen. So go and connect with Maha, go and follow Swish. We have, you know, you've got the amazing products that we could actually talk about, the glow powder, the chalky powder.
Oh, it's so good.
Okay, any milk?
So I use almond milk. You can use any milk. Some people actually have it with hot water.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually,
I love
Emmy Lou
almond
did.
milk. Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Emmy Lou, I was watching her do it, and I was like, hang on the stove. What's she doing?
She's like, I like mine really watery. I'm like, girl.
Well, actually, so do I. When I go to America, they always have like the watered down hot chocolates in like those.
Oh yeah, I love those. Yeah,
but it's
like the vending machine.
the vending machine ones. I'm actually weirdly obsessed, and I'm weirdly obsessed like plain
so
coffee.
good.
Like it's all the watered down gross coffee. I know.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
I like the American filter coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Okay, is that like a normal thing? Because a lot of people are like, that's gross.
No, most people think it's gross, but I'm into it. Yeah.
I'm so into it.
I'm there with you.
Great. Well, we're going to stay up to date with Maha. I'm going to hopefully bring you back. We should do some lives.
Yeah,
but we are wishing you
thank you
with everything. And I'm a big believer in the universe.
Thank you.
So I'm throwing it out there.
Thank you.
And everyone watching this, throw it out there for her. You deserve
Thank you.
to be a mum.
Thank you, gorgeous.
I love you. Thank you so
love
much.
you.
You're amazing. Well,
So that was it. Beautiful Maha. Thanks again to Genea for making today's video possible. Remember, if you or someone you know is struggling with fertility, reach out. You have everything and more to gain. Genea's contact details are linked down below. Be sure to head to our podcast as we alternate content between YouTube and the podcast every Sunday at 7 p.m. We'll see you here on YouTube in 2 weeks. Peace.